Analog Attack here, back with something new for you. What are you listening to? Hopefully this will be a weekly series. This is the first episode. We've got the All-Stars in tonight. We've got Jim. How you doing, Jim?
Good. How are you? Kampai.
Thanks for the 2 hours. It was a lot of fun. Tony, how you doing?
Good to see you. I would say
Bill, how you doing, Bill?
But it would be
hey guys.
Happy birthday to Bill.
Bill, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bill, how old now, Bill?
21.
21.
Yeah.
I only ask because I'm turning 50 in
I'm older than you.
Okay, yeah. I'll be 50 in a month.
You're the youngest, Tony, I think.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt, Tony.
You'll be all right. You'll be fine. All right. So what we're going to do, we've each pulled out a stack of 5 or more records that we've been listening to this past week. I didn't specify a genre. It can be anything, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be a lot of hardcore punk and maybe some metal. We'll find out. So what we'll do, we'll go around. We'll do one each. Do our 5, and if we're having a good time, we'll carry on and do some more. So I'm looking at the screen here. I've got Jim up top. So Jim, you want to start things off? You want to kick off?
This, it's been Halloween the past week or a week ago. It was Halloween, and I found myself obsessing over Screaming Lord Sutch.
Oh,
which my take of this, if you haven't heard, I mean, it's wonderful. Excellent classic rock and roll. I want to say it's Screaming Jay Hawkins meets the British Invasion.
Yeah.
And God, I was just taken with it this year. I really was. And it's not hardcore and it's not punk, but man, if you ever see that clip of them doing Jack the Ripper, but there's some black and white footage with the girls screaming, and it's different though. It's not like because he's cute, it's because he's scary. That clip always did it for me. But I was listening to this a lot. It's freaking awesome. It really is. This is a quality rock band. And when I was a kid, there was this movie, a documentary that came out. I saw it in the movie theater in the 70s called Let the Good Times Roll, or the big London rock show thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in it. And I remember seeing that when I was a kid. That was the first time I ever heard of Screaming Lord Sutch. Was in that movie of that London rock show from, what was it, like 72 or 73, and he has the giant top hat and all the gimmicks, but it's excellent. It's really fun stuff. So that was my Halloween kind of thing.
That's a cool pick, Jim. I've never owned a Screaming Lord Sutch record.
It's a request. I mean, you could spend a fortune, but I recently found this at a local Connecticut record show from the guy at Slip Disc from Long Island.
Is that kind of one of his more like well-known records? Or?
It's hard to say. I'm not so proficient, but if I don't know if you can. I'm trying to keep the glare off of it.
Yeah.
But there's like it's on the back graphics here. There's the tracks and who played on it. Like if you were in a recording studio, like. With the roster sheet that an engineer would use, or that's what it looks like, and it's like who played on every track and who did what, who played sax, but Screaming Lord Sutch is the mainstay, and but I've also seen him, like he's played with like Jeff Beck in the lineup and things like that.
There's like some super group, I'm forgetting the name right now. They did one album and it's got I think Richie Blackmore is in the band too.
But he's been a cast of characters, like whoever was hanging and whatever. But I find him a real interesting character, and there's more I need to know about him. But you could find all these clips on YouTube of him in different phases. But that early black and white, like I think it's like 64 or something, and it's just so great. It's the girls are ski, they're like, but you think it was like Mick Jagger, and they're but so. That's my like Halloween kind of vibe, and I totally fell into it this year.
Good pick, Jim. Cheers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tony, what you got for us?
That's excellent. I don't own any Screaming Lord Sutch either, And you're saying you didn't, Mike, and yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to dig into that or check that out. I never see it around. It doesn't come through the shop, and
Every
when I
now
go
and
to,
again, there's a few that show up in Japan, but
Yeah.
I should.
I feel like
I mean, it's just stripped down rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, and it's fun. It's fun. It's real fun.
yeah,
Nice.
that's awesome. Well, you got a straight running.
Bizarre. Hayden's in the house. That's my dog. I got 2 dogs. So the other one will probably die. Hopefully they don't bark.
That's awesome. I thought we were gonna be like in a horror movie for a second. The door was just opening like that. I was like, what's going on?
Lord Sutch himself.
Lord Sutch is coming in. No, it's really my hound dog.
That's good. Well, yeah, when I just looked through, I was like kind of flipping through the pile of records that have been being played, and I realized that this record, we'll see what we can do about the glare here. This is let's see what we got here. The Action Swingers Decimation Boulevard almost never gets filed away. It pretty much stays in the playing pile always. It's very rare that it actually gets filed into the records because I play it so much. And I think about this band, and like I think people's perception of them is more of a noise rock band. Like they had an era where there's a record on Caroline, and it's like more noisy, more like noise rock style. And then out of nowhere, they put this record out, which basically sounds like a cross between the Ramones and Poison Idea. And it's like, I think it's a style that is not associated with them on any of the other releases. And this is the one record that never gets repressed. And it's like, it's practically like monetarily worthless. I mean, it might be a $15 record or something, but it never gets reissued ever. And I think people are just like unfamiliar with it, but it's like full blown, just hateful Poison Idea, Ramones. It's like so catchy. It's really not like any of their other releases. And it's just like, it's like first song starts off pretty slow and punishing. And then then it's just pure speed until the end. And as soon as you're finished, I'm like, oh, I want to listen to it again. Oh, I want to listen to it again. I never kind of want to stop listening to it. And that dude, Ned Hayden, I guess he's kind of a known cantankerous, angry person. And it really shines through on this record. It's I feel like this is the one record by them that should be reissued and people should check out. But he's like terrible about it. There's like anytime it's on YouTube, it gets taken down. I don't think it's on Spotify, and he never lets it get repressed. So it just like exists out there and like, 500 yen bin maybe, or something like that, where you are, Mike. It's a really killer record, and I never stopped listening to it. So
I saw them in England in around 1991, I think.
That is amazing.
They were amazing. Yeah, they played at a little club right by my house.
Yeah, and was it more noise rock, or was it like?
I just thought it was like garage rock. Really, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
really fast. They're a New York band, right, Jim? Did you know that band?
I'm not familiar with them. You're teaching me.
Right,
if you see me looking down, I just wrote it down. I'm gonna look up because it sounds very interesting, Tony. It's like, it sounds like it's right up the alley.
It's New York City, and they had like that guy Bob Burt, who was in I think he was in the Chrome Cranks and some other kind of like noisy, bluesy kind of garage rock bands. He was in there, and even on their first single, Jay Mascis plays drums on 2 tracks. So there's like these weird, but they kind of like change their sound, or like I guess it's honed, over those early releases, and becomes like, with this release, becomes like just incredibly sharp, whereas the other ones are okay, but they're just more blown out rock and roll. And this is like borderline hardcore punk rock and roll, so
that sounds fun.
All right, Bill, what do you got for us?
All right. What I have is Verdict, Time to Resign. And this thing is killer.
Whoa.
I mean, this is Dischange, Dysphere, Burning Kitchen, Totalitar, War Collapse, all those people doing this. And, I mean, this is just it's kind of been, I put one record on, then this is the next record for the past 2 weeks. So it's
Bill,
just,
is that a new release? It's a new release?
Yeah. It's great. It's on Phobia Records.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just ordered it straight from them. Shipping was a little expensive. I could have waited another little while and got it cheaper, but I didn't want.
Swedish band, Bill? Swedish band?
What's that?
Are they a Swedish band or?
Yeah.
Were you saying, Phil, is it members of those bands that you were saying just changed the sphere? Okay.
Oh wow.
Not just sounds and that style, but actual members of all those bands.
Actual members, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really great. Yep. Yeah. I was so psyched when I heard it because, sometimes you just don't know what to expect, but what you expect, that's what that is. So it's great.
Nice. Jim, did you write that one
down? A little more melodic than say War Collapse, but it's great. It's more totalitarian.
Right.
I also read something online. Somebody was talking about it and praising it. They said the only thing that sucked is the actual artwork on the cover. That's what they said. I was like, oh, okay. Well, sometimes you go deep. Doesn't matter.
Yep. All right, Mike, you're up.
I am. I'm going to cheat a little bit because this isn't really one that I listened to this week, but I've got to mention it because yesterday Nick Turner from Hawkwind passed away, so I thought I should show Hawkwind to pay respects to the career of Nick Turner. And this is probably my favorite Hawkwind album, Warrior at the Edge of Time. I actually haven't listened to it this week, but it's a classic. Probably one of my top 20.
I listened to it this morning.
Did you really? Yeah. I would have done, but I was chatting with Jim there. So rest in peace to Nick Turner.
Yeah.
We blasted the store today. We threw a bunch of Hawkwind on at the shop.
Oh yeah,
we're listening.
Yeah, that's what I woke up to this morning was Nick Turner passing away. So rest in peace to Nick Turner. Now the next one was gonna be my first pick, but I already did a video about it, so I'm not gonna show it. I'm just gonna show it a little bit, but I'm not gonna talk about it. But can you guess what it is? It's the Tower LP. Shock to the System, New York band, like traditional heavy metal. There's some punk pedigree in there. I heard that the ex drummer was in Subversive Right.
Oh.
She doesn't play on this record, but super high energy, catchy heavy metal with an incredible singer. But I've done a video on this, so I'm not going to talk about this one anymore. Right. So this is my first choice today. So this is a band I've loved, for a long time. There was one record of theirs that I never had, couldn't find it anywhere. I had the tape of it. Inepsy.
Oh,
Madness and Overkill. Man, it took me a long time to track down the picture disc, and I finally did a couple of weeks ago. God, I'm happy to have this. It's been, my Inepsy collection has really been incomplete without this, but picture disc. I guess it was kind of limited, right? And it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, I have not seen that picture disc come through. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't own that. I haven't seen it come through. Yeah, ever. So.
And it's kind of like stylistically, it's not like the first LP, but it's kind of sandwiched halfway between the third LP and like the early stuff. It's kind of like somewhere between those two styles, I would say.
Starting to get a little more rock and roll.
A little more rock and rolly. 6 songs. Feral Ward.
I saw them in Baltimore. They played in Baltimore when they were able to get into the country, and it was also, I feel like it was a middle era for them. It was like not quite the first album, but it wasn't like was it like No Speed Limit? I can't remember that.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
But that's also the new guitar player, and it wasn't Steve Bennett anymore. And I remember somebody went, "No," they have that song. It goes, "No Speed Limit," and somebody's like, "No Steve Bennett."
it was still pretty like there was definitely elements of rock and roll when they were playing live, but it was not quite the full transition to that no speed limit era, that final era. But
yeah.
Did you guys ever hear their demo? Did you ever hear the NFC demo?
I've not heard it. Jim?
Yeah, it's almost grindcore.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite a arc from
I was shocked because we played with them in I think Montreal in 1997 maybe. And then when I moved to Pittsburgh, I set up a show for them, and it was just two completely different sounding bands.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Jim was saying, they were kind of starting to get quite big towards the end of their career. They were on a video game and stuff like that.
Yeah. And people who were outside of like our scene were listening to NFC.
Okay.
So,
I feel like maybe that show you booked for them in Pittsburgh was maybe the same time I saw them in Baltimore. Maybe there was like an East Coast run happening there. I remember they tried to come back into the country at a later point, maybe like at that last album, and then like they couldn't get into the country or something. I could be talking out of turn. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like there were shows booked and they didn't get into the country, and then they just broke up, I guess.
But I mean, in Montreal, and Bill would know this as well. Like most, there seems to be a shelf life to really good Montreal bands. Like they last maybe 4 or 5 years, and then done, and then they morph into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a very. But NFC did hang on longer, but than that shelf life, and but all of them also are in like all kinds of projects that are just so worthwhile. They're droids. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Is it my turn?
Yeah, Jim, you're up. What's your second pick?
I've got the Todd Killings and the Contract. Trying to get the glare off it. This is like it's people from Bootlicker, that whole like North Vancouver area, West Canada, going back to speaking of Canada, and I heard this online. I said I gotta have it. It was really good, stripped down West Coast hardcore, awesome stuff. It doesn't sound like Angry Samoans like you think it might.
I was going to ask you about that.
For sure, though. It's rip shit in that like bootlicker kind of vein, that whole scene. Really good stuff.
Is that a 7-inch, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you shocked?
No. I couldn't tell if it was a 7 or a 10. I was trying to figure it out.
It's my enormous hands.
Yes, yeah. Perspective. Who put that out, Jim? What label's that on?
This is on Slow Death Records.
Okay.
And I don't know. It intrigued me. But also, to me, it looked like you ever hear that old Australian band Rocks?
Yep. Yes.
It reminded me of the Rocks Final Assault. I was like, oh, I like Rocks. But well worth it. It's rip shit, just like bootlicker, kind of in that vein.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw Farstate post about it, and I was like, well, if you're cool enough to name your band Todd Killings, whether it sounds like Angry Samoans or not, I'm
sound like Angry Samoans.
Such an Angry Samoans fan. I'm like, even if you took the time to sound completely different, but just name your band that, I'm going to check out that record. You can't call a band Todd Killings and not. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, no, check it out. It's worthwhile. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Well, kind of pulled away a little bit from hardcore for a minute because this came out this year, and this is Danger Mouse and Black Thought. It's like Cheat Codes, which is like brand new, this year hip hop LP, and it's weird because I have to, because of the store, I kind of have to stay up on like new kind of like rap or hip hop things, but being older, right? Like my interest in hip hop, might be more towards the like mid 80s to early 90s, and like brand new stuff sometimes is a little too, I don't know what, you know what I mean? It's like a little more difficult for me to get in sometimes to like new things. But this record is just like really aggressive and like has it kind of like throws back to that. It's not really what I would imagine Danger Mouse, I guess, would be doing, or, how, I guess, I don't imagine that like it sounds like I thought it was going to sound based on the people that are in the band, but it's just great. It was like I put it on and was like, oh, this is really taking me back kind of to like, maybe a slightly more aggressive, like old school kind of hip hop feel or whatever. And then I was like, oh, did I just listen to it 4 times in the store? Whoa. Like it's great. Like I really enjoy it. So, and there's some newer stuff like that I do enjoy. That's like, weirder or glitchier, or like, I don't know, whatever the actual young kids like. But this was something that was like really easy, and it like kind of slid into like, my feelings about like early, 90s and late 80s hip hop or whatever. So anyway, I've been playing that a bunch. So
cool. All right.
But newer hip hop, I'm not so versed in myself. But like you said, 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Some stuff, I mean, it's just weird. Some stuff is like so removed from that 80s, 90s sound that I'm just like, what am I even listening to? Am I just listening to a broken computer? But like, that's the thing, is like, sometimes I there's another part of me that likes electronic music and stuff where I'm like, it just sounds like this is like a skipping record or something. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? But this was just like one that like really felt like, it felt like more in like that spirit. Like if you were to listen to it, you wouldn't be like, what the fuck are these kids listening to? Or oh, that's cool. Some people are still making like some pretty aggressive and like, cool fucking records in, in the style or whatever.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right.
Excellent. Good.
I'm going to check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Bill, what do you got for us next?
All right. Next, I got, and I bought this for the cover, Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Stone Cold classic right there.
Oh yeah, it's not quite heavy metal, but it's almost heavy metal.
It almost is, yeah.
And it's just, this is great stuff. It's great stuff. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's really great. And if you like hard rock, plus look at that drawing.
yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Well, so Buffalo are an
Write it down.
Australian hard rock band from the 70s. They put out like 4 LPs. That one is definitely the best one of the 4.
Yeah.
They're all good, but that's definitely the best one. And there's a song on there called Shylock, which is the best song on that record. Which, I mean, like,
it's just such a great song. The guitar, the way it starts off, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
It's like, the thing with all this like proto metal and like, 70s hard rock everyone went crazy for. That one is absolutely one of the best, along with like Captain Beyond and Sir Lord Baltimore. That one is in that like top 5 of really, really incredible 70s hard rock records.
Yeah,
really heavy. Yeah,
beautiful.
Is that an original I'm looking at there, Bill?
No, this is a Karma, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Karma.
Yeah, same. I got the same pressing. Yeah. They were on Vertigo. They got signed to Vertigo and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, at least one member went on to be in Rose Tattoo like years later. I think there's that connection.
Yeah,
not Andrew Anderson. One of the others. Was in Buffalo. Great band. That I recommend that to everybody if you like hard rock, heavy metal.
That came through. it came through the shop like a couple of months ago, but I think that reissue it wasn't an original or whatever, and we blasted it. We blasted it in the store for like 2 days, and then of course I couldn't keep it. I was like, if somebody doesn't buy this today, I'm going to take it home. But of course, like, the next person that walks in is just like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, sell it off of the turntable and just hope another one comes through at some point. So
that's the way I used to keep the rare records. I'd go, all right, I'm going to play this every day this week. And if nobody buys it, I can take it home. Yeah. A lot of those did not come home.
I'm feeling the pressure now. I've got to follow up Buffalo. Are you kidding me? Jesus. It's like, I'll do my best. All right. Here's some like modern day death metal out of Dallas, Texas. Frozen Soul is the name of the band. They're on Century Media. This is their first album. I've been after this for a couple of years. I finally got the vinyl this week. Bolt Thrower. It's like Bolt Thrower worship. And there's some hardcore punk pedigree in this band. Chris Bonner is the guitarist, and he was in Wild Tribe and Unit 21. And I know Chris from when they came to Japan a lot. So I know Chris very well, but he's the guitarist in Frozen Soul.
A bunch of times.
That's right. Yes, they are.
I saw Unit 21.
Yeah, so Chris was the guitarist in Unit 21, and you can kind of tell there's that punkish vibe to it. It's really like Bolt Thrower kind of worship. But it's a great record, really catchy, heavy record. And let's see if I can do this. They're on tour right now, everybody. Frozen Soul are on tour in the States. They're on tour with Napalm Death.
Oh, wow. MDC.
Napalm Death, MDC, Brujeria, and Frozen Soul. And they're in Texas this weekend. So if you're in Texas, go and check out Frozen Soul, Napalm Death, and Brujeria. Maybe MDC, I'm not sure.
Brujeria. I love Brujeria.
So there you go. That tells you the sort of punk pedigree. Napalm Death. They're label mates with Napalm Death, Century Media.
Nice segue, Mike. You pulled the Drew Stone there.
I did. I've been studying. Yeah. So yeah, Frozen Soul, modern day death metal, but really good band. With a punk pedigree. Yeah. There you go. That's my second pick.
So it's my turn.
Yeah, you're up, Jim.
Yeah. All right. I got this week. I got it from Tom at General Speech. Luckily, he tipped me. I was looking for this for about a year and a half, and I don't know. This is going to be glaring. Yeah. But oh my God, this mix is like I was like, after hearing this for decades, the original way, and I have the original. I got to keep moving it because there's glare on it.
That's okay. Yeah.
But the naked mix of the Stalin of this is just off the fucking hook. I mean, what can you say? I already love the Stalin. I love him even more. This should have been the record. It really, that they released it. I heard that the record company didn't like their mix or something like that. But oh my God, it's just big. It sounds big the way it should have been. Look, it's like I'm signaling for a rescue plane.
I guess I'm gonna have to go out and get it.
Kind of big in here. I got lights here, so it's like
I made a mistake with that. I thought it was just because I thought it was like they just uncensored some of the lyrics. I think on the original, they changed the lyrics.
It sounds bigger. It sounds big. It sounds like it's not. It was always great. So I was like, how could it be greater? It's like, but in the mix or the mastering, maybe, it's like, it was, and I was doing A and B with my original copy, and it just sounds booming. Wow. Maybe the technology's better now. I don't know, but a well-deserved improvement for a legendary band,
Wow.
I mean, I slept on that one.
Me too.
Because I had the original, like you're saying, I have the original, and I was like, well, how different can it really be?
Yeah.
And it was difficult, like very difficult to get. I kind of wasn't fast enough to try to order from Tom, and then it just kind of disappeared, and I was like, well, whatever, I have the original, but that's painful to hear that it's that much of a difference.
You can find it. I mean, but I was going through Japanese sites, and of course from the US, could be a bit of a task. But but and an expense, you know. You know, it was a little on the pricey side, but I was curious as a longtime Stalin fan. I mean, you know, it's a benchmark band, and I wanted to hear it, you know. So I was very happy with it.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish I'd picked it up, but I guess it's still out there.
No. Also wish I'd grabbed that when I had the chance.
Yeah, don't cry. You'll get it. Look at all those records you got.
All right, nice pick. Jealous, but nice pick. All right, Tony, what you got next for us?
What is next? Oh yeah, so when we were talking, two of these records, when me and you were talking, Mike, we were talking Electric Frankenstein, right? It's not an electric. Right. It's not an Electric Frankenstein record, right?
Okay, good.
That'd be great. Just 30 Electric Frankenstein 7 inches in my hand. But I was thinking about, you know, I was saying that like these scenes that happen, and then everybody's hyped on this scene for like 5 minutes, and then you know, a couple of years down the road, everybody looks back at these scenes like and holds their nose, like, oh, I can't believe anybody was ever listening to fucking What Happens Next, or I can't believe anybody was listening to, you know, oh, something's going on. What do we got?
Well, it's the garbage truck, man. Come and take away all my records.
I just heard swearing out there.
He's coming for the record. So yeah, I get like very interested in these scenes that like everybody, especially ones that I like, you know, lived through, like Flip Up Baseball Hat, Bandana Thrash, early 2000s scene or whatever, you know. And then everybody's just like, oh, I can't fucking believe, you know, all those shitty records and nobody cares or whatever. And it's just like, no, there's incredible records in that, you know, in these various scenes,
right?
You know, and then you get like 5 and 10 years later, and then you're like kind of reevaluating stuff. But people like to kind of shit on it with like 5 or 6 years of like hindsight. Anyway, one of these weird, hyper specific scenes that's not exactly garage rock is the Ripoff Records label. And it's weird because almost every single record on that label sounds identical. It sounds like it's one band just split into 30 bands. Like there's no, like I think about the Infections and the Ripoffs and the Zodiac Killers and you know all these bands, and like I play these records, I really like them, and they're incredibly inexpensive. No one cares. They're like, you know, $10. And all of them, the Lids, the Kidnappers, but no one cares. And they're pretty fucking incredible. Anyway, this one is the Wongs, Reanimate My Baby, which is, you know, on Ripoff. And yeah, no shocker, it sounds exactly like the Infections and the Zodiac Killers.
Stitches?
And
is that another band? Ripoff band?
You know, I don't know if the Stitches are actually on there.
Okay.
Or not. But yeah, something about like, I mean, I can get kind of judgy about some of that era of like garage rock where I'm like, it's just a little too one thing or another that I don't like. But the lo-fi-ness, like, you know, all these records are just like insanely lo-fi. They all sound like they're recorded in a garbage can, but they're also all super catchy. You know, it's not like just proper, like those Electric Frankenstein records are basically Dead Boys worship. You know what I mean? At least a lot of them are. But this isn't really that. It's like, it's just like really catchy and just really shitty recordings. And, like, and the combo.
There's lo-fi greatness, though, wouldn't you say? Like, you could find. Absolutely. There's in lo-fi there's brilliance.
Yeah. I mean it's the thing, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Some of this stuff, I mean, really just sounds like, you know, I don't know, like some of it sounds like maybe there was more of even an Angry Samoans influence than there was a Dead Boys influence. I mean, yeah, it's more rock and roll than like, you know, punk, but it's still like just really great. And yeah, there's a million, you know, records on this label. Again, they all are like practically identical in sound, and they're all super inexpensive. So I've been kind of going back. I remember when they all came out and I was like, this is great, but I didn't keep them or whatever, or I had them on CD or something. And now I'm like going back and, you know, trying to buy as many of them as I can, and they're just sitting around because yeah, everybody's like kind of looks backwards and just goes like either they don't even remember that Ripoff Records existed, period, or, you know, they just don't care one way or the other. So But yeah, anyway, the Wongs with Reanimate My Baby and this like super also stupid cover where this guy's head is just like in the tray, like in the Reanimator or whatever. So yeah, super stupid, but I really like it dumb. So this is kind of that world.
I would also say, like, when you find that niche and you recognize it, wouldn't you call it? I call that low hanging fruit, because it's cheap and it's obtainable and you can get it all for like really cheap.
Yeah, nobody knows, and it's like it's like very fun. It's just like super fun, listenable records, you know. So
I've got the compilation album. It's like the rip off the early years or something like that.
Yeah, it's all the 45s.
All the 45s, yeah,
for sure.
Could be the same band, like you said, but good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely drinking music. If I drank, it would be
absolutely. All right, nice pick, Tony. Cheers. All right, Bill, what you got next for us?
All right, next, I got this for my birthday from my wife.
Oh.
And Motorhead. Iron Fist. Double CD with all kinds of extra tracks, live show. The colored blue and black vinyl. And then this triple LP.
Nice.
Man.
I mean,
there you go, Bill.
Yeah.
Exact same.
Yeah.
Man, luxury.
I can only pull out the regular. Only a regular.
I just got the old one.
But it's worth it, right, Bill? For the extra live.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one of the shows on here. It's the first Motorhead show I went to.
Oh, there you go. Awesome.
So I was psyched for that. Really psyched. I think it's the one on the CD, I think.
The CD actually has a few more tracks on it than the triple.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a Motorhead. We all know what Motorhead sounds like. Oh, and not only did it come with these, came with this shirt.
Oh.
It came with a hoodie.
What?
Yeah.
That was with the color vinyl one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the nice color too. I'll show you.
Where did Rachel find that?
She ordered it from the Motorhead store. Yeah.
The source.
Yep.
Beautiful. I've come around to that record a lot recently.
Yeah, at some point it was not, I mean, but now I love it.
Right.
But what I really like for Motorhead is like the 90s stuff. That's my stuff. That's what I like. Yeah.
Right.
It's great. 90s into the 2000s. Like the real heavy, fast. Yeah.
Like Sacrifice and stuff like that.
And Inferno.
Inferno, yeah. That's like in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Snake Bite Love.
Snake Bite Love.
Yeah.
They don't have a bad album. Well, they kind of have one that's kind of not so good, but yeah.
Yeah. I forget what it is, but it's the only one I don't have.
That's the one that actually Tony gave me a huge poster. Oh, the poster. I have it on the other side of my door. And I treasure it. I treasure it. But it's the worst. It's the worst Motorhead album.
He says like March or Die.
March or Die. March or Die.
Yeah. It says March or Die, motherfucker. Like huge.
It's a beautiful poster, and thanks, Tony. It's on my door there. But why did he give me like the worst Motorhead album?
He's the only one I had. He's the only Motorhead poster I had. So.
Yeah.
I like I like the wimpiest end. I like Another Perfect Day. That's my favorite.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
That's like maybe like up there anyway. At the top.
Back at the Funny Farm. That's a great song.
I feel like it's an unpopular opinion. I feel like
great.
It is. Yeah.
The last,
Robbo, right? It's the one with Robbo from Thin Lizzy, and
Yes.
Yeah.
In his little shorts and short
yeah,
hair.
his red hair.
the last time I saw Motorhead, which was like the 5th to last Motorhead show, they played a couple songs off of that album, and it was pretty good.
Great record.
Yeah, they played Back at the Funny Farm and Rocket.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is it my turn?
it's your turn, Mike.
It is my turn. It is my turn. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go back to some hardcore, or start with some hardcore. Everyone loves this record, right? The new Long Knife record.
Yes, everybody's
Everyone's talking about this record. It's wonderful, great record. Saw them in Japan. Oh, is it in your pile, Bill? Sorry, but this isn't actually the record I'm going to talk about. Well, I'm going to kind of talk about it, but this record kind of made me go back and listen to this one.
Yeah,
The earlier stuff. Now, to be honest with you, I much prefer the new record. They've just added the saxophone in the song. There's like little keyboards in there. There's that amazing video with the Chris Holmes from Wasp homage in the swimming pool. It's all these little things, that kind of lift it above just like straightforward hardcore, which I really enjoy when a hardcore band just puts little touches, little touches that kind of like elevate it. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, Long Knife. Anybody seen this band?
They're on the East Coast right now.
Okay.
And I haven't had an opportunity to go, and I could kick myself. I know that they're pushing through. I think they were in Pittsburgh last night, and
I was supposed to go see him the other night, and I just didn't have enough money.
I just can't. I just couldn't get out to go.
But how much
they're in Boston, I think, on Sunday. Maybe I'll take a secret trip to Boston.
Nice. But they're really like Poison Idea worship. So this this one reminds me of the jump from Kings of Punk to Feel the Darkness, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of similar. They kind of gone from.
Also, the new one, I've also read somebody wrote that they found, even though that it's a Poison Idea worship, they kind of found their own way within this new album.
Yeah. Yes, I think so too.
And found an identity in there. So that's pretty cool.
It's a really good record, yeah. Great fun.
Yes.
All right, Jim.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Yeah. I hope the glare doesn't show up too much on this. The Undertakers.
The Undertakers.
The Undertakers.
The Undertakers.
I'm trying to get without
there
glaring.
There you go.
All right. This just came up. This is a band from the early 80s that never got released until recently. And this is on Puke and Vomit Records. And if you're into that early LA sound, like East LA Chicano punk, this is it. And for some reason or another, they never got their due, and they did there's all kinds of stuff in here. Here's a picture of them on the back. But kind of like Zeros. Early sounding, but you can hear the SoCal stuff in there. I'm glad they finally got their day in the sun. And also this recording is excellent. But I'm a big fan of that early LA punk sound, and this didn't let down. And I'm surprised that this didn't come out a while ago. I mean, this recording's from '81, and they got buried. I don't know how or why. But they finally have their day in the sun, and this is very worth checking out if you're into that sound. And it's like I said, it's pretty recent. Yeah, 2022. Recorded in 1981. Just a really good, sick. Not as sick as like the Stains, but definitely representative of East Los Angeles punk. And finally, they saw their day, and here they are, and I highly recommend this.
Okay.
That one's getting mentally written down. I love the Zeros, and I love the Stains, so that's...
but that's like that whole vibe, man. It's like East LA, big stuff, And I was like, wow, how did it drop off the face of the earth and not make it till now,
I didn't. I mean, I got to pay attention to like this stuff that's getting released, and that just slid right under my radar entirely. So I'm gonna pen that one down in the rewatch, and yeah.
Well, Tony, sure that I have my paper right here. I'm even writing stuff you're saying.
Dude, yeah, do like Jim does, so you don't have to watch it again. Come on.
Yeah, who knows? They'll unearth this in 20 years and like, these guys are idiots. Nerds.
All right, Tony, what's it? Your number 3? What were we on? 3, 4?
3, 4, I think.
I
think we're
okay. All right.
Yeah, 5. So,
all right.
A while ago, this compilation with like, I guess what I consider to be really terrible artwork. I'm going to show it to you. It's artwork did not do anything for me. But yeah, it's called Love Hate, and so I don't know if that's like supposed to be like a takeoff on Peace War, but it's basically a double LP of just like a ton of Italian hardcore bands. Like a lot of them, a lot of like really short songs, and a lot of bands represented, Wretched, like a lot of the classics, I guess, and things that people would know. And I took it home and I was just listening to it, letting it play, and it's in a compilation setting, some of that stuff is just blurring together. You know what I mean? A little bit. You're just like, yeah, that's gnarly, but it's just like, is that the same song? Is that 4 songs later? Is that, it just kind of like starts all sounding like the same. But in the middle of it, I heard this track that was like super punk and super melodic, and it completely stood out from like all the other tracks. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And just like, I'm like counting the rings on the record because the information in this is not done well. So I'm like holding the record up, trying to like count the rings to see what band it was. So anyway, that band is called The Ride, and this is a reissue. It's a compilation. The band is called The Ride. They're from Italy, and you gotta keep the glare off of it there. From the 80s, and this compilation is called Masturbazione Mentale. So masturbation mentality, I guess. But it's great. I had never heard of them ever.
First time.
It's just like really. I mean, it's parts of it are fast, but it's got a real just like, trashy melodic kind of sensibility or whatever. But there's still elements of that like kind of Italian hardcore kind of like filtered through it or whatever. All the other tracks. I mean, obviously, like the more raging tracks in that compilation were great, but this just like. Maybe it just stuck out so hard because, it was kind of like more of a punk vibe as opposed to like a super hardcore punk vibe, and just had, again, that kind of trashy melodic like sensibility or whatever. So this is a compilation. It looks like Ripoff Records did this. And
once I found, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, once I was able to find out about the band, I was just like, oh, God, is it going to be impossible to find? And I think maybe the original record is tough. But this was like, again, no one cares, $10. Just like a reissue. And I'm like, Jesus, this is like some stuff that like I wish I had known about. I wish I had been blasting it like, earlier. But pretty fun Italian, kind of punk with a little bit of a hardcore edge. But
wow. That's a new one. New one to me.
I've got 2 copies of that compilation.
I have a copy.
I'm talking about.
It's a good comp.
That's great. 2 copies of it. I love it. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's not even that old. The compilation is only from like the last 10 years, maybe, if that. I didn't look at the date. The compilation is somewhat recent, but again, I would not have known. Like, you know what I'm saying? Having never heard them or like, but that compilation, the actual double LP compilation with the terrible artwork, throwing that on, I was just like, oh, what the fuck is this? And so, that made me go back and then try to find.
I picked it up because I made the same connection that you mentioned with peace, love, war, peace, Yeah.
It's a great, I mean, it is a great comp. The first one, the one with all the bands on it or whatever. Yeah. It's like it can blur together at a certain point, where I was like, again, counting the rings in the record to like try to figure out what.
Yeah. I think I gave up on that. Yeah. Oh, here's my cat.
Hey.
Steve, my dogs are just walking through here.
This is Percy.
Hi, Percy.
Hi, Percy.
Oh, that's a big cat.
Should I do my next one?
Yes, go ahead, Bill, if you can.
It's a cat.
Yes.
My next one is the band from Canada called Blemish. And it's really good. It's like a combination of maybe peace punk and UK 82 stuff like Violators. And, it's really good. I think I'm not sure whether they're from Montreal or Ottawa, but it's really good. It's on a label out of, I think, Baltimore, right?
That's a good question. I think I do have that in the store, but what's the label?
It says NFTW.
Oh no, that's not for the week, and I believe, and they're not from Baltimore, but I did get copies of that record. Yeah, I think that's NFTW, not for the week. I think that's not for the week records. I'm not exactly sure where they're from, but I ordered those direct for the shop, and I also really like that one. It was good.
Yeah, if it's not from Baltimore, it's from like Richmond or something.
I think it is Richmond. Actually.
Yeah, and it's really good. I would recommend this to everybody who likes punk rock. Yep.
That's a new release, Bill, out this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And I don't know if he still has any more left of this color vinyl, but
ooh, beauty.
Ooh, beautiful.
North Virginia is the label.
Yep. Really good. I want to see this band. So yeah. Hopefully I can do that soon. I saw that they were playing at Burning for Punk in Montreal. But I couldn't go.
I was just there.
So, Jim, did you see that band when you were there?
I think I did.
You did.
I saw all the bands, I think.
That's all of them.
No, but
according to the lineup, I think they were first on like Friday or something.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I saw some really good bands up there. Some I wasn't able to find out who they were, but that probably was one of them.
Yep.
No, there wasn't anybody emceeing it. Like next up, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That end of that. It was like boom, they just got on stage.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's my turn again. So, compilation albums. Tony was just talking about that Italian compilation album. And you would think that after sort of decades and decades of Killed by Death and Back to the Front and so many like compilation albums of old 70s punk, Rare, 45, you'd have thought that by now everything would have surfaced. And I kind of get more cynical as the years go by. I mean, come on, surely all the good stuff must have been already reissued. And I think we were all sort of blown away when this compilation appeared called
yes,
Heroes of the Night. I started seeing people kind of recommending it online. I was like, oh come on, how good could this be? And it's all like old British bands, all with female vocalists. They're all original, just 45s. It's on Reminder Records. You got bands like I'd never heard of any of these bands, like not even one of them before. But you got the Russians, Cheap Cinema, Glass Torpedoes, Vermilion and the Aces. There you go. Jim's got it.
Mine's on the other side of the room.
Okay.
I'm the only one that don't have it.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to choose a favorite track because they're all great. And it kind of runs it's like 70s punk. There's a little bit of like synth pop in there too. But like my favorite song is the Vermilion and the Aces. I like Motorcycles. It's got like a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's really good one. Yeah.
Right. I should have brought it up.
Rocker,
Played a little clip, but it's got that a little bit of like new wave of British heavy metal thing going on in it. Very anthemic, but like every song is amazing. Yeah, it's on Reminder Records, as I said. And the good news is there is a volume 2. As we speak, so I'm really looking forward to that. So if you think you've heard, all the unheard, rare 70s UK punk, well, there's still some good stuff that hasn't been reissued in this one. Top of the heap for me. One of the sort of surprises of the year.
Yeah. And Luke Bombardment was the one that cued us all in.
He did indeed. Thanks, Luke.
And I was like, all right. I was like, sure.
So yeah, top recommendation. Really well done comp. It's got the gatefold with all the sort of liner notes and information about all the bands and the original picture sleeves, the 45s. But is anyone going to try and track down all the original 45s after getting this? I bet there's people out there that are doing that right now.
I'm going back to Tony's theory. Low hanging fruit. Go for the cheap stuff.
I did look up some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, and Bill, what did you find, Bill?
Some of them don't go for that much money.
Okay.
So some of them are obtainable.
Okay. I bet.
The reason why I looked it up is because some of the bands sounded quite similar to me.
Okay.
And I was like, is this one of those comps where it's just, but it's not. There's legit records out there from the 70s and everything. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Great.
No,
great,
actually,
great.
It's not pretty good. It's excellent. It's excellent.
Yeah.
It blew me away. It
it's amazing. Yeah. You got to get it, Tony.
I'm gonna get it for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
So
I think this is our last round around. I think.
Last round. Ooh.
Yeah. Let's make it count.
All right. Well, no, I got a good one. So,
all right.
Have you guys heard of that band GT from Australia? There's like a whole new crop of Australian bands, and GT. I really am. This is a compilation. I think that GT had something to do with because the artwork's similar. Before I show it to you, but there's this is like a really excellent. You could tell they're garage bands, but which I like. Not just younger bands, their take on certain songs. But this is a comp, and this is volume 3, and I'm still looking for 2 and volumes 1 and 2. But this guy, have you heard this?
No.
Oh.
All right, this is freaking excellent, and it's a double. It's a double compilation. I don't know any of these bands. Most of them I don't know, and they do covers, like the sickest covers of songs you take for granted. Even like there's Pressure Negative Approach cover by a band called Pensioner. And they do it differently or super fast. There's Judas Priest covers on here. There's a Neil Young cover on here. There's the Bugs, the Beatles, Pink Fairies, Funkadelic, the Kids. I mean, it's so all over the place, but it's so well done by bands I never heard of on their own takes. I always said any band I was ever in, if you do a cover of a song, put your own stink on it and make it yours. Fall in love with it and let it be your version of that song. Don't just do a verbatim cover. But man, this fucking thing fucking smokes, and I listen to it all the time. And the GTs just played New York, I saw, but it was like so under promoted that I live an hour away from New York City. I was like, I would have had my ass down there if I knew. I found about it afterwards. But I mean, there's Rose Tattoo on here, ZZ Top, Circle Jerks, Kiss, Poison Idea. I mean, these covers are everywhere, and every band that does these covers go fucking mental on them and make it their own. So I highly, highly suggest this. Find this. I still have to find 1 and 2, and it's a newer thing. It's recent. It came out in the last year or two, but And it's from Australia, but man, I'm a fan of this for sure. And you know, because you kind of like, you know, even think songs that are dear to your heart. If you find somebody who can play these songs and make it their own and make it sick, it's all the better, man.
Yeah.
And so, wait, I'm trying to get the glare off of it. Sorry.
I love that artwork.
Yeah. No, but it's the
style of
GT.
artwork is really up my alley.
Well, it looks like some K-Tail comp or something, right? It's like
It was
hit 76. But
that I knew Tony would like that. It's kind of really the celebrated summer records kind of aesthetic.
Brightly colored,
it's on the Legless label.
Legless
with a seagull. There's a seagull on there. And but Jesus, man, this is like ultimate, like recent days party record. You put this thing on, everybody's going mental, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and go crazy. But it is a fun comp. It's all over the place. And like I said, the germs are on here. You know, it's like everything is on here, and it's like done in a way where it's just sick. It's so sick. So I recommend this, boys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Going on the mental list.
You can find it.
I love that color scheme is like burning into my retinas.
Well, there's certain colors, if you pair them up, they vibrate naturally in your eyes.
Yeah.
That's all that. Yeah, it's a party record, man. It's a total party record.
Well, I don't think this one's a surprise. Not a surprise, but like nothing that, you know, everybody has heard this record or whatever. But I've been really lately, I guess, just hammering in and listening to stuff that I feel like is either, you know, overlooked from the past or like not as well thought of as I feel like it should be thought of. Again, not to hammer it in too hard, but just because of these scenes that are like gone now by like 5 and 10 years and nobody cares. But I think this record is like a perfect fucking hardcore record, and I don't know that people really care, but this is Social Circle, City Chalk. I feel like some of these other scenes, I feel like this record maybe came out towards the end a little bit of the kind of like Grave Mistake, No Way records, kind of, you know, when all those bands were happening. Maybe this record was like kind of towards the late middle or end of it or whatever. But it is. I mean, it's just like their singles are great too, but this record like just destroys the singles. It's like something about the guitar tone, the vocals, like the perfect speed. It's not too fast, but it's like still blazing fast. And again, I think that, you know, it sits around. It's like an $8 record maybe, and people just go, "Oh, that was from that time period," and maybe we don't care anymore. But like, I feel like this is a record that like holds up and will continue to hold up, you know, in like the kind of pantheon of hardcore or whatever. I would put this on, you know, after any classic hardcore record, I guess, that people still kind of venerate or whatever. But I think this is like just really, I don't know. I just think it's like perfectly catchy and super fast. So it's not like, it's not very forgettable. I mean, I think it's not very forgettable. I don't know about the rest of the world, but I love this record.
It's not Sorry State?
No, this one was
arranged.
This was No Way.
Okay.
So,
it's a Richmond band?
No, they were from, oh boy. I don't know where they were from.
Okay.
I want to say that Ryan from this band went on to be in Green Beret, so Boston? Question mark. Yeah, maybe Boston, I think. But yeah, I just think it's like, you know, maybe it's just easily overlooked because there's like a bunch of cheap copies like floating around, and you know, we're just at that right amount of time after this scene that maybe really nobody's thinking about it or caring about it, but just a great record. So,
all right.
Nice.
All right, Bill, what you got for our last go around?
Okay. So, also from Australia.
Oh yeah.
Ausmuteants. This is great, like synth Devo Killed by Death mashed together with Poison Idea production. It's like, it's really good. And when they rock really hard. And the main guy is in that band, Alien Nose Job now. That's
right.
Yeah. And but this is great. All their records, really awesome. My favorite song is "Kicked in the Head by a Horse," and that's what it's like. You know, it's really good. If you can imagine Devo, you know, with Poison Idea production and
wow, I'm intrigued,
man.
Yeah,
they played in Baltimore. A number of years ago, I saw them in Baltimore at the Auto Bar, and they absolutely tore it up. they were great. I was like immediately a fan, you know.
Yeah. So. It says on the cover, Australian synth-driven snot punk classic.
Oh, I'm there, man. I got
maybe a little bit like those earlier Spitz records too.
Yeah,
it's like in that same vein. I also love them. So
yeah, and these guys got a bunch of really good records too. So you can't go wrong with any of their stuff. Fed Through a Tube 7-inch though. That's really good.
Is that the same band? The title's called Fed Through a Tube? Awesome.
Yeah, they got a 7-inch called Fed Through a Tube.
After being kicked in the head by a horse, or
they were so good live. They were just so incredible. Yeah, they were a great band.
Yeah, and they're really like the melodies is awesome too. It's not, you know, I mean they know how to write a song for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this series is going to cost me a lot of money, I think. So.
A bunch of stuff to buy.
Monetizing.
I feel bad about that Heroes comp. All three of you. I was just.
I figured someone would pick it for today's episode, but I had to show it. It's such a good comp.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to finish up with something that's, I don't know, it's interesting to me. I mean, Bill mentioned Motorhead. For me, you can't talk about Motorhead without talking about their sort of sister band, if you like, a band that have been a favorite of mine for decades. But they kind of went off the rails a little bit. So first two albums, Girlschool, talking about Girlschool, by the way. First two albums, classic. Third album, still good. It's still good. And then they went off the rails with a record called Running Wild in 1985. I think that record kind of only came out in the US. It's really, really commercial. They had a kind of lineup change or two. And so
that's one with another singer.
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it. I got rid of it. I think it was only released in the US, but I kind of, for ages, I'd sort of like, well, why would I bother going past like 1985 with Girlschool? What's the point? You know? Yeah. And then about 10 years ago, I picked up a record of theirs called Nightmare at Maple Cross, which came out in 1986. It's like super, like it's glam rock, really, really catchy. Every song is like filled with hooks. It's not like the old stuff, but it's great. And I forget they do a cover of either a T-Rex cover or I forget, like they do an old glam rock cover on that record. And then I didn't go any further than that. And then the other day, actually last week, I was in the record store at Wild One Records, and they had the record after that, Take a Bite. Girlschool. Wow. Take a Bite. This one, if you like Nightmare at Maple Cross, you're going to love this too. It's pretty much in the same style. Super catchy, super hooky, sing-along, glam, rock, anthemic. It's like kind of Susie Quattro, but amped up. Joan Jett. I don't know. It's great. I mean, I feel like this is a kind of really kind of underlooked era of the band, like mid-80s. And hang on, they do a cover on this. That's it. They do Fox on the Run by Sweet on this record, and they do a really good job. That's the kind of the vibe we're looking at with this. And you've got, that's it. Tracy Lamb is in the band at this point.
Yeah.
I love Tracy Lamb. Yeah. So if you've overlooked this like mid-80s, late 80s era of Girlschool, definitely give it a go because it's really, really enjoyable stuff.
I'm just going to have to start buying every Girlschool record that I see that I don't have.
Well, that's it. Now I'm like, come on. I mean, surely the next one after this is probably pretty good too, right? There's another one.
Yeah.
So just self-titled Girls' School, which I've never heard. So I'm probably going to pick that one up.
I saw a video of them playing like 4 or 5 years ago.
Still good.
Still good.
Yeah. I don't like the word underrated. It's like, how do you define it? But I really feel like Girls' School. I mean, they're such a good band.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys. I mean, I know Mike's from the UK, but Bill, remember when MTV first came out? Girls' School was always on MTV.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
With that like, running wild era of the band, like the more commercial,
like early '80s. Yeah.
Really?
It was like, come on, let's go, and stuff like
really?
That.
Like promo videos.
It was in rotation on MTV.
Yeah.
Wow.
MTV.
I didn't know that.
And what's that other one? Something like All Right or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, let's go.
With the mother.
Yeah,
Don't
where they.
Yeah.
It was Girls' School, and what was the other band? I think that was also for women.
Rock
UK
Goddess.
band. You Rock Goddess, yeah. Yep.
Another like the Rock Goddess, like first album. If you haven't heard that, it's like really super powerful.
Yeah.
Kind of Girls' School style. Heavy
Nice.
metal. Yeah, Rock Goddess first album.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. I think we've gone round 5 times. We've had a good time.
Yep.
I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as we did. A lot of variety, a lot of compilation albums. I hope we'll do this again soon.
We got to bring in the other folks.
Yes, we've got a lot of people. I was surprised. There's a lot of people kind of want to come on. I was kind of a bit overwhelmed. So everyone wants to come on and do this. So we'll put this video up, and if people like it, then
it's nice to be on your inaugural.
Yeah. This is like the gold standard of how it's going to be from here on. Look at this and learn. This is how it's done.
But Tony, I totally subscribe to your theory of that low, like I said, low hanging fruit, like the stuff that you think nobody cares about anymore, and you find it. Like
the funny,
yeah.
You know where I mean, I haven't thought about this in a while, but I think that I have to pay tribute to where I heard that the first, and that was Felix Havoc wrote about that in a Maximum Rock and Roll article or column. Sorry, in a Maximum Rock and Roll column. Like, I mean, who knows how long ago? I don't even know. Like at this point, maybe 20 years ago. You know what I mean, or something like that. But in it was just like, when everybody's buying Japanese hardcore, buy Finnish hardcore. When everybody's buying Australian punk records, buy German punk records. Basically, just look where everybody is not looking at the moment. You know what I mean?
I found myself in San Francisco in like 87, 88, and everybody out there was dumping their worldwide hardcore collection. And I knew about all this stuff, but I never had the money for it when it came out. Right. And a friend of mine turned me on to all of it. And when I was out there, I was raiding every used bin in San Francisco, and it was all there, like all Brazilian, Japanese, German. And I was sending home boxes from San Francisco.
Amazing.
But right place, right time. It's like everybody was going off to grunge, at that time.
Yeah.
But
maybe you can get Felix on here.
Get Felix on here for sure.
If you're watching, you're very, very welcome to come on.
Felix is the man.
Open invitation.
Gotta pay tribute. That's where the I don't remember what year it was, but I read that article and it like
it makes sense. Yeah. All right.
Old friend.
Mike,
guys. Thank you.
It was
thank
a lot
you,
of fun.
Mike.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, stay healthy and stay clean.